Did you know it could take up to 7 days to make a bowl of ramen? We're not going to go through that today, obviously, just because I don't want to cook and film it for an entire week, to be honest with you. But I did want to go over like the various things that go into a bowl of ramen, the various kind of seasonings, the layers, as such. So the quick video just to show how to assemble a bowl of ramen. So yeah, let's jump into it. My name is Andrew Rowe. This is my channel Baba Ramen. Today I just wanted to show you guys how to assemble a bowl of ramen. So you've got 5 layers in a bowl of ramen. You've got your tare, you've got your soup broth, you've got your noodles, you've got your seasonings, and then you've got your aroma oil. So they're your 5 main layers within a bowl of ramen. Now making a bowl of ramen is a huge ordeal. You know, it takes maybe 2 days. On average, I'd say. So I know some restaurants that take maybe 5 days. I even heard as a kid, there's places that take 7 days just to make their broth. To give you a bit of an idea as to how much of a commitment it takes to make a bowl of ramen. But that's the reason for this channel, to make it simplified, to really break down the various cases of how to make a bowl of ramen. So anyway, let's go back to the first layer. So you got your tares. You got your Shio tare. Shio is essentially salt in Japanese. You got your Shoyu tare. Shoyu is Japanese for soy sauce as well. There is a third tare, which is called miso tare, so with miso paste. That's an amazing tare nonetheless, but it's just something I stray away from, just sincerely because I've had it a lot as a kid. And it tends to be used more so in like vegetarian kind of ramen. It's actually the easiest tare to make out of the 3, and probably packs the biggest punch in terms of flavour as well. So it's definitely worth looking into if you're going to make a normal bowl of ramen. But today we're making Tonkotsu, and traditionally speaking, or typically speaking, you'd expect it to be either of these 2 tares. So myself, I'm going to use Shio tare, so salt. This is just sincerely a preference rather than anything. It's just something I think that tastes the nicest with Tonkotsu. So you want just about maybe 20 milliliters. It depends on the size of your bowl and how much you're going to put into it. So for today, I'm going to put about 30 milliliters of the Shio tare. Thereafter, we've got our Tonkotsu broth. So Tonkotsu is Japanese for pork bones. This is actually a paitang, which is Chinese for white soup. So it's worth mentioning, because since I'm using obviously 2 different dialects here, ramen is originally Chinese. When Japan opened the borders in like the 1800s, I think it's the 1840s, when they allowed for more Chinese skilled workers to come over here. So it was kind of the 40s when ramen kind of hit Tokyo. So the first ramen was actually a Tokyo style ramen, which I'll get into at a later date. But that's why we call this paitang. It's your white soup. You got your 2 types of broths. You got your paitang, and then you got your chintang. And chintang is the clearer soup, which is becoming increasingly popular in Tokyo by the looks of things, especially with the Japanese anyhow. I think the foreigners, or people that have the taste buds of a foreigner, I should say, prefer to have the tonkotsu, which is what we got here. So I've already made some. It's worth mentioning that this probably took me 3 days of cooking. So thinking of my waking hours, I'd imagine this would be about a good 36 hours of kind of boiling it down, reducing it down to get this white creamy soup that we have here today. So this is our second layer. Okay. So these ladles that I'm using, this is traditional that you would see in a Japanese restaurant, in a ramen restaurant. Sorry. So they go up to 300 milliliters. This instance, because I've already used a lot of the broth. To be fair, I'm just going to fill up a bit more until I see that we're at a good level, of which I will be piling on, you know, the various things I'll be making on today. To be fair. So there we go. There's our first 2 layers of our layer. So we got our tare, the seasoning, and then we got our broth, our tonkotsu white paitang soup. So that's our first 2 layers. Now we'll go on to doing the noodles. and then we'll do the toppings thereafter, and then finally the aroma oil. So now we've done those first 2 layers, we're going to start with the noodles. So these noodles that I made a couple of days ago, I let it rest for a day, and now I've cooked it out today. Noodles are very, very important. They vary massively. You have to do huge trial and error with noodles, but I won't go into in depth today, but we'll just go through the various layers as mentioned. So typically, obviously I wouldn't do this in a bowl, but just for the purpose of the camera, so you can see me kind of putting it through, because noodles have a short lifespan. As soon as it's cooked, which takes about 2.5 minutes, typically speaking, then you have to put it straight into a bowl of soup, and then your clock is essentially ticking, you know, after that. So this is our ramen here. This is about 180 grams of ramen. It is a lot of ramen, to be fair, but it's a big bowl, and this is a bigger portion sincerely because, well, it's for me, to be fair. So here we go, I'll just put this in the soup. And what you kind of want to do as well with the noodles, kind of bring up, because you don't want them all to stick together, you know, as they come up. The way you got to see things with noodles, they're the bridge for the soup to reach your mouth, you know. So, and you want to have it quite clean, so if you can, just get a bunch up and kind of move it into a layer like this. So you got a little layer on top, and it allows you to kind of pile your various kind of toppings and things on thereafter. So there we go. Now we're going to the toppings. Okay, so now we've got the noodles in. Now we're going to do our various toppings. I don't know whether you can see it all from there, but we have a lot of different toppings. So as worth mentioning, toppings is very bespoke to whatever you have at hand, as well as what preference you have as to what you have on top. So I have a lot of different layers, but just sincerely because I like the various different toppings. You know, I like to have it quite full in that respect, but that's just sincerely my preference, and it's what I've already had prepared anyway for all the times that I've made ramen. So I think the first thing that kind of needs to go on this is the char siu. So char siu is pork belly. This has been marinated and been cooking for about 24 hours. And yeah, I just took it out about an hour ago. Typically you want to let it rest for, if you can, at least an hour. But on a good situation, a perfect situation, 12 hours for it to let it rest, and then it will retain its kind of cylindrical, circular kind of shape. And it's the easiest to cut after that when it's colder. It's firmer, and then you'll get the nicer kind of rings to it and things like that, to be fair. So this is what I made earlier. This is the char siu. As you can see, it's very juicy, it tastes delicious. There's a lot of various things that go into the marinade as such. And you can marinate for later as well. You can put it into your soy sauce, Tare. It could be mendare, which is just the kind of seasoning, that's the name of the marinade in that manner. So you want to do the layers quickly. So we're just going to punch through it and things like that. So right here, we've got onions cut and diced. We've got our negi. Negi is a Japanese vegetable. It's a kind of hybrid between spring onions and a leek as such. It's a very unique flavour, and I want to use it a lot if I can whilst I'm here in Japan. We've simply got some basil. And then we've got our ramen eggs. Ramen eggs, they take about, typically I would say 2 days to make as well. You have to let it marinate, and it has that lovely colour around the edge. And it's about perfecting the cooking and things like that. There's actually a lot that goes into boiling an egg, but once again, we'll go into that later date. Yeah, this is notomaki. This is bamboo shoots just here, and this is notomaki. And lastly, for the toppings, this is our seaweed that we just put for the at the end of it all. So we'll quickly go through the layers because I'm just worried about the noodles. I want to eat this afterwards, so we'll quickly go through it just so you can see it now. So we start off with the char siu. Char siu, you want to have it at the back of the bowl of ramen, just like that. You know, it's the biggest ones. I obviously make it very chunky in that respect. I think after that, you want to go for the kind of central things. You know, you want to get a pinch. As you put it down, give it a little pinch as you push down. That was our negi. This is our onions. I think onions I really like in ramen. I don't think there's many places that actually put it in there, just so you know, but it is my preference. We've got some narutomaki. We'll put that at the bottom here. We got our bamboo shoots, which I will typically put over here. And then these are our beautiful ramen eggs. You cook them for 6.5 minutes, and then you got a beautiful soft boiled egg. It depends on the size of your egg and where you get it from as well, of course, depending on that. And then we just simply have a bit of basil just at the top, and that's just for kind of colouring just there. And then you want to get some nori. Nori is very, very optional, of course. It depends on how you want it. But yeah, typically I like the taste of it. I like to have it as a square. I think it looks perfect in a bowl of ramen. So there you go. There's our bowl of ramen that's assembled. I'm just quickly going to go over putting the aroma oil on, as well as something that's unique to having on tonkotsu. So this is our aroma oil. So this is chicken fat, chicken lard you may call it, and I've cooked that oil with the negi that I was referring to earlier, as well as scallions as well. And I was cooking that for a good kind of 4 or 5 hours just to get a nice smell out of it. It brings a nice kind of oily layer to it, and just brings a really nice smell to a bowl of ramen, because a bowl of ramen is an experience, you know. Prior to you actually eating it, you smell the smell of the ramen first, typically speaking, and then you will have a sip of the soup, the broth first, and then thereafter you will try the noodles. So that should be the order, the etiquette to eating a bowl of ramen. So, and this is black garlic oil, or mayu you could call it as well. This is essentially garlic being cooked in 3 different ways or lengths, and eventually getting to this with sesame oil as well as vegetable oil with this one. This really packs a punch by itself, and it looks really nice when it comes with tonkotsu, as you can see here. So just a quick spoonful of that, and there you have it. There's your 5 layers of a bowl of ramen. You have your tare, which says at the bottom, you know, the Shio, Shoyu, and then the miso. Then you got the soup broth. This one is a paita, which is our tonkotsu soup broth, creamy white kind of soup. You got your noodles thereafter. That takes about 2 days to kind of make collectively in terms of timescales and things like that. And then you've got your various toppings. And then of course you've got your seaweed and things like that. And then finally you've got your aroma oil, which is your essentially the aroma of the bowl of ramen. And then you got your black garlic seasoning, your black garlic oil, I should say. And that's amazing taste by all means. So there you go, there you have it. Thank you for watching, guys. I hope to see you in my next video. As I mentioned, I will be uploading more and more videos about the world of ramen as such. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you on the next video.